السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا. In the previous lesson we discussed the types of dalalat, but in this lesson we will inshallah continue with the important topic of al-mufrad wal-mu'allaf. Know that in the previous lesson we discussed ad-dalalat, so it is appropriate that in this lesson that we discuss words, meaning the loves means words. We will discuss words and the two types of words that are used or classified by the mantiqeen. The first one, so basically what they say is, let me explain it to you, then we will inshallah dive into the text as I mentioned before. So words are essentially of two types. Let me change the color. Words. They are essentially of two types, according to the logicians. The first type is mufrad, and the second type is mu'allaf, and it is also called murakkab, but it's spelled as mu'allaf or murakkab. Now, mufrad is essentially something that is, as the name suggests, uh, is one usually. If you study grammar, then mufrad is something that points towards something that is one. But in logic, it's something different. Mufrad in logic is any word that does not uh, point towards the portion of its meaning. Now let's unpack that for a second. Any word, a portion of which does not point towards a portion of its meaning. Now this is very simple to understand. Let's take any word. Let's continue with our previous example. When we say the word human, we mean actually alive and intelligent. But if I write the word, if I split this word human into two parts, for example, any arbitrary selection. So the word you does not mean anything. Or in other words, the portion of human does not point towards a portion of its definition. So the word you doesn't mean alive, and the word man doesn't mean intelligent. So this you has no meaning in this case. And man, it actually means a male, right, in English. But even in this case, this has nothing to do with a portion of the definition. So the word human itself points towards alive and intelligent, but a portion of the word human does not point towards a portion of its definition. So this is mufrad. Now I will explain it further by giving you four types of mufrad. There are four possible types of a mufrad. Let's discuss. Number one, the word doesn't have uh, a portion. The word has no portion to begin with. For example, we have the word a in English language when we use it in sentences, a book, for example. So the word a does not have a portion. I mean, you cannot split this word into anything. So this is mufrad. The Arabic equivalent would be the Hamza of istifham. I mean, it's just Hamza. So you can't really split it into anything. So these are both mufrad. The second possibility would be the word has a portion, but now this is an interesting case that we are going to make, is that the word has a portion, but that portion does not have a meaning. That portion does not have a meaning. For example, if someone is named Ali, so obviously the word Ali has a meaning. But if you divide this word into portions, for example, the letter A, the letter L, the letter I, or maybe these two, or maybe these two, then they don't have any meaning. Uh, Al doesn't have any meaning. AI doesn't have any meaning. Li doesn't have meaning. And these individual letters have no meaning. So this is a mufrad. For example, the Arabic equivalent would be Zaid, again a name. So Zaid is actually something that is meaningful, but Zal and Ya and Dal have no meaning because obviously they don't have any meaning. So although the word has portions, but those portions are meaningless, this means it is mufrad. So this is our second type of mufrad. And our third type is, you can probably guess it, the word has a meaning. The word has a portion, sorry. The portion has a meaning. But that meaning is not used. What do we mean by this? For example, and I think if I would give you an example in Arabic, that would be much easier to understand. For example, we have the word Abdullah. The servant of Allah. Now has this is a word. It has actually two portions, Abd and Allah. Abd means slave, and Allah obviously means Allah. So Abdullah means slave of Allah. So the word as a whole has a meaning, and if you divide this word into portions, then Abd has a meaning and Allah has a meaning. However, if we use this word, the entirety of this word, as a name of some individual, then when we say Abdullah, we don't actually mean slave of Allah. We actually mean that person. That person. So even though the meaning of this word is slave of Allah and Abdi means slave and Allah means Allah, we don't use that meaning because we are now instead using this thing as a whole to refer to someone, a name, someone's name. So this is also a mufrad because even though the word has a portion and those portions have meanings, but those meanings are not used because the word as a whole is now instead being used to refer to something else instead of slave of Allah. So, so finally, uh, we can now move towards our final type of mufrad, which is, again, you can probably guess it. The word has a meaning. I'm sorry, the word has a portion. The portion has a meaning, and that meaning is used. But, however, and this might be a bit confusing, but that meaning is not intended. Right. What does this mean is actually, for example, you have the word حيوان ناطق, and I hope you know what that means from the previous lecture. So حيوان ناطق has a meaning, حيوان has a meaning, ناطق has a meaning, and both of these meanings are used. For example, alive, intelligent. Both of these meanings are used as well. But for example, you take this entire thing, and you also name it for you keep this as a name for someone. You keep this entire thing as a name. So, but at the same time, you want the portions to have their meanings. So you want to call out to someone, and you call him حيوان ناطق, intelligent and alive. So you're using both of the meanings to refer to someone. So what this mean is actually that these meanings are sustained in their places. They are there, but at the same time, these are intended for something else, which is someone's name. So this is might be a bit complicated, but uh, this is the fourth type of. This is also a mufrad. So these are the four types of mufradat. So any word, essentially, any word that fulfills, that does not fall into these four categories is automatically mu'allaf or murakkab. But in order to make it clear again, I will list the four qualities the word must have in order to make it a murakkab or a mu'allaf. The first is the word has a portion. The second is the sorry. The second is the portion has a meaning. And the third is that meaning is used. And the fourth is that meaning is intended. So, uh, by intended, I mean the murad of the mutakallim, if you understand that. So this is what a murakkab is. For example, if I say حيوان ناطق, and I do not use this as a name for any individual, then this is a murakkab. Why? Because there are two portions. Each of the portion has a meaning: alive, intelligent. Both of these meanings are used. They are, and are both of the meanings intended? Of course they are intended, because I'm not referring it using as a name for someone. I'm actually referring it to something as حيوان ناطق. I'm using the meanings and I'm intending the meanings for that thing. Uh, حيوان, it's a حيوان and it's ناطق. يعني it's مركب of two things which have meaning and those meanings are used and intended. So this is very simply put what a murakkab and the difference between mufrad and murakkab is. So coming back to the text, what the author says is the following. ثم اللفظ, then the translation is then the word, meaning they're starting the discussion of a word. ثم اللفظ إما مفرد, meaning that either it is mufrad, then they bring in the definition of mufrad. Let me highlight this definition. هو الذي لا يراد بالجزء منه دلالة على جزء معناه. Meaning, mufrad, that which we are actually, let me highlight this as well. The first type of mufrad and the second type is mu'allaf. And I will highlight the definition of mu'allaf as well. And this is an example they gave. And this is also an example they gave. Now let me explain it. So the word is either mufrad وهو الذي, and that is which, through which لا يراد بالجزء, it is not intended from its portion دلالة على جزء معناه, meaning that it is not intended from a portion, from the portion of that word, the portion of its meaning. It is that from which a portion. In fact, let me write it in another way. It's not really necessary to do the exact translation. It is that in which it is not intended from its portion a portion of the meaning. Kal insan, they give you the example kal insan, like human, insan. Now I want you to pause the video and think about why this is a mufrad. So this is a mufrad because even though it has portions like alif, noon, sin, alif, noon, these portions have no meaning. So this is a mufrad. Moving on, they say وَإِمَّا مُؤَلَّفٌ, or either the word is mu'allaf or murakkab. So it is either mufrad or murakkab, and then they define what a mu'allaf is. وَهُوَ الَّذِي لَا يَكُونُ كَذَلِكَ. It is that which is not like this previous thing. That which is not like that. Like that meaning mufrad. Anything that is not like the mufrad is automatically mu'allaf. كقولنا, like our saying Rami al-Hijara. So the example that they gave is, let me move a little. So Rami al-Hijara. So I want you to pause the video and think about why this is a mu'allaf. So this is a mu'allaf because obviously you can see there are two portions. Rami means someone who throws, and al-hijara means rocks. So the word has a portion, and the portions have meanings, and these meanings are obviously used. And because this Rami al-hijara is not a name, not a name, So the meanings are intended. Therefore, this is a mu'allaf. This is what the author conveyed in these two lines. I hope you understood this topic. It might be a bit confusing at first, but if you keep going through the video, and maybe if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments down below. Inshallah, it will be easier then. If you have any more questions, or if you're not clarified about the concepts, then you can do a quick Google search and maybe you will find some articles on the subject that will help you a lot, inshallah ta'ala. So I think this is it for this lesson. I will see you again next time, inshallah. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.